Welcome to Alpha Wolf Capital. I'm Tim, and I want to personally thank you for stopping by. This channel is designed to help small companies, both public and private, gain exposure with potential consumers, investors, even partners. Take, for example, today's guest. We have CEO Gust Kepler of BlackBox Stocks, and we have CEO David Argyle of REalloys, an Advanced U.S. magnet material company. BlackBox Stocks is the entity that trades on the NASDAQ exchange under the ticker symbol BLBX. REalloy, after the merger, will be the main company, and BlackBox Stocks will become the subsidiary. They say timing is everything. The timing could not be more perfect for REalloy in this particular climate. But I'm going to let David Argyle and Gust tell you more about that in just a minute. This is not to be taken as investment advice. I am not a certified financial planner. This is for education and entertainment purposes only. I encourage everyone to do their own due diligence. Hey everybody, Tim from Alpha Wolf Capital coming at you with a brand new story. It's an interesting one. We've got two CEOs here. We've got Gust and we've got David. And Gust, you are the original entity, right? BlackBox Stocks. And then we have REalloy, which is a really fascinating story. I want to thank both of you guys for coming in to share this story. Who wants to start first?
I think since we're the issuer and the pubco, I'll kind of take a stab at explaining this very unique union, or proposed union. So BlackBox Stocks is a fintech company. I'm one of the founders. We are a software solution for day traders and swing traders, and we gained a lot of traction in 2020 and 2021. We listed on NASDAQ, and things were going great. Over the last couple of years, our revenues have flattened out for a variety of reasons that I will not get into with this audience because it's not the topic that is that we're discussing. But I was searching for an acquisition or a merger opportunity that would provide value to our shareholders. And that is the number one goal when you're a CEO. You may deviate from the original business plan, but bringing maximum value to the shareholders is always at the forefront. I came across an opportunity to do a acquisition of a company much larger than ours in its developmental stages called REalloys. That happened around November, and we were able to enter into a term sheet and then a definitive agreement shortly thereafter. So the strategy here with BlackBox and REalloys is to allow a quick pathway for REalloys to become a listed company on NASDAQ through our pubco and allow them to access the capital markets on NASDAQ to forward their business plan. The original version of the company, I'll call it, when I first was entering into the definitive agreement is much different than what the company has done thus far. They've changed exponentially for the better since we entered into the agreement. When we first started talking to them, they were simply a rare earth company with a very lucrative property or a property that I was told is extremely rich in light and rare earths in Saskatchewan. Since then, it's morphed into much more, which I'll let David explain. But what made this different and a compelling acquisition for me, and not just another rare earth story where the word rare earth is thrown around and people just assume that it's a hot topic, is this is a fully integrated plan for a rare earth company with the upstream, midstream, and downstream. All those components are being integrated into this entity. So we are in a position to have a North American rare earth company and production from mine to magnets with REalloys. That's their strategy. And thus far, as this deal's progressed and as we're going through our filing process with the SEC and the application process with NASDAQ to allow REalloys to be the listed company and the surviving entity, more and more of the stories unfolded, and more of the initiatives have come to fruition. So it's been a really good proposed marriage so far. We're not done till the SEC says our registration statement is effective, but we're in our second round of comments now, and we anticipate closing sometime in late July, early August, probably at the latest. And I'll also reiterate that we are a fully functioning fintech company. We will remain an operating subsidiary of this company. But we put a CVR in place. So if our assets are sold, our shareholders will get the benefit pro rata of any sale that takes place of BlackBox. So with that, I'll let you ask the questions that you want to ask to myself or David to get more.
All right, so let me ask you this: how many shares outstanding, fully diluted for BlackBox?
So right now we're around 3.6 million shares issued and outstanding, fully diluted. We don't have any what I would call dilutive warrant structures or anything like that in our cap table. And we anticipate post acquisition that there will be between 56 million and 58 million shares issued and outstanding for the combined entity. Now that can change with financial instruments, and the variation in price at close dictates the exact amount of shares that'll be issued. But that's a good estimate. And
Okay,
on top of that estimate, I'll go ahead and put out there that BlackBox shareholders receives approximately 7.3% of the equity stake in the new entity, which if you do the math, on the 3.6 million shares, we think there's a really good arbitrage opportunity from where the stock's trading today in the mid $5 to $6 range to what the company is valued at when it closes. And I'll go ahead and also point out that when we first entered into the definitive agreement, we had valued the company at 400 million. That's in the S4. We feel that with all the developments and additional integrations that have taken place with the other acquisitions and entities that have come into the fold, we feel that valuation could be much higher.
okay. All right, so this is where it's a little complicated, but
Right.
it's extremely intriguing, right? And so, David, let's talk about realloy and why it's so important with everything that's going on in the world right now. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but China controls about 90% of the, what do you want to call it, the rare earths, right? Uh, for the globe. So, so it'd probably be a good thing for us to have a source like this. No.
That's 100% is of strategic necessity and importance. If you look at the use of magnets, you can broadly put them into three categories: U.S. strategic needs, which would be for national defense stockpiles, defense industrial base, nuclear industrial base, robotics, electric aviation, and critical infrastructure industries. That those magnets provide the fundamental U.S. Defense and infrastructure capabilities. The second group of magnets that are used is in key industries, and take that as automotive, windmills, large equipment and machinery. And the final group of magnet uses, all the way down to magnets are used in refrigerators and portable beach speakers. So those are the three broad categories. And what REalloys is focused on is meeting the magnet material needs for that first category, the U.S. strategic interests. Someone else can look after the general magnet markets, and someone else can look after the key industries. We are highly focused on producing magnet material to meet high performance magnet demand.
Okay. When we're talking magnets, we're talking for like F-35s, we're talking submarines, we're talking some big magnets.
Big and small. So magnets are also used in military radios.
Okay.
Magnets are also used in infantry fighting vehicles. So it's not just the big pieces of kit. It's
Drones would qualify for that.
drones. Absolutely, drones, autonomous marine vessels. So you've got a whole range, and the need is only increasing.
Right. Okay. And is there a shortage, or is there, how do I say this, threats of constraints within the supply chain because of China right now?
Yes, so they have decided to not supply material to any company that is supporting both strategic needs and key industries. They are letting magnets leave for general use, i.e., refrigerators and portable speakers. But they are not allowing those magnets which have higher performance characteristics go out for key industries and strategic purposes. So that's the how China is putting leverage on the U.S. for the trade tariff negotiations.
Well, I'm actually kind of glad this is happening now, because I've been wondering, as we were planning on going to a complete electrification of our vehicles, I was wondering if maybe we would have learned anything from the oil and gas days, where we were reliant on someone that didn't like us very much for our oil and gas. And then we go ahead and do the same thing with China, where they control 90% of all the materials that go into batteries. So it makes I don't we're slow learners over here. But we're figuring it out. I mean, it's okay. David, this is, so we've got a Canadian operation here, or mine, but you've got other elements that are coming into this thing that really just kind of handle the whole supply, everything, right?
So we have an upstream development asset, which strategically the company will bring into production over the course of that de-risking step. But what the company has in hand is a downstream magnet material plant in Euclid, Ohio, whose current clients include Defense Logistics Agency, which is the Department of Defense, Department of Energy, which includes Ames National Research Laboratories, and other companies in the critical material supply chain. So we are taking that core competency and current operating facility and expanding it to meet the demands from U.S. protected markets. So we have a very clear expansion plan, and then to feed the rare earth elements into that facility, we are in discussions and talking with a range of qualified North American suppliers of magnet materials, which include recycled magnets, as well as other primary feedstock directly from mines. So we are building out this supply chain as we are even on this call. So we have a range of rare earth element supplies. We are in the process of securing those supplies. And then, but most importantly is we look for suppliers who are already permitted, because we have a timeline, and the timeline is to scale production progressively, commencing from where we are today during 2026, and be at full scale by 2027. So
Okay.
that would means we need qualified permitted suppliers to feed our Ohio plant as we expand our Ohio plant.
All right. So, I mean, from my understanding, we're not talking about getting the mine up and running in a year.
It's not required to fulfill our mission.
Right.
And that's the difference between one of the differences between our project, our company, and other non-integrated rare companies in the supply chain. Obviously,
Right.
you've got the upstream, the midstream, the downstream. Our approach is under one umbrella is to connect the upstream, midstream, and downstream through partnerships, joint ventures, and investments in those various sequential steps. And that means speed, because we can achieve speed because we have a clear understanding of the size of the U.S. protected market demand. We're not making magnets for refrigerators. We're making magnets for high performance applications.
Right. And there is a demand there. So I love this story because I like the approach as opposed to being involved in a mine that's just getting ready to pull a permit that could take anywhere from, I don't know, 17 to 25 years to get all the permits and everything approved, right?
Right, and I don't want to jump in on David, but that's the other thing that was important to me when I was assessing the deal and deciding whether we were going to take this somewhat large leap forward into a new industry for our shareholders. The Saskatchewan province is very resource friendly, and the mine is located north of the SRC, which is a tolling facility that processes rare earth. And I think that's another important component that David has brought into the fold. We announced an MOU with the Saskatchewan Resource Council. And I think when we put the press release out, it doesn't really speak to the impact this will have on the overall operations because it just sounds like a consulting company. But David can tell you it's an extremely, it's a government facility, so they don't need a permit because they're the government. They're already ready to go and process rare earth. And there's really no issues with, I guess, a lot of the potential toxicity from some of that processing because it's a state-of-the-art facility, and David can speak more to that. But that's the midstream component that is so important when we're sourcing other rare earth while we're getting the Hoidas Lake property that is owned by the company up and into production over the next year or two.
Okay. So you said Euclid, Ohio. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. So this, Ohio is my hometown state. So I always like to see positive things happening for that state. But I have a question for you. There's a lot of abandoned coal mines up in Ohio. Are there any of those rare minerals up in that area, or is that a no? I don't know. I have no idea.
I have not studied the coal tailings from Ohio, but there are rare earths in tailings in, as an example, West Virginia.
Right.
So it is possible that there might be some rare earths that can be extracted from those coal tailings. You have to do a detailed assessment, and if a company was interested in pursuing that and then needs an offtake from the rare earths that they could produce, we would obviously be looking at taking those rare earths and turn them into the magnet materials.
Interesting.
So there's a whole range of ways that the United States can actually increase supply into the rare earth supply chain, and our role is to help coordinate that because we have a pathway to the magnet materials because of our Euclid facility.
Yeah.
So that makes it really interesting, and that's really the development story is that we actually are integrating the capacity, which is disconnected at the moment because the key bottlenecks in building the supply chain are create time, which is permits. The necessary permits that we need to achieve these outcomes are already in hand. So
Right.
it's permits, technology, people. We have those components, and of course there is the demand signal there. So it really is interesting, and we've got obviously with issues that are happening on the global stage, the pressure to supply increased amounts of magnets during conflict, while China has essentially shut the spigot off, and
Yep.
puts a lot of pressure on these chains. And so, and even today, after recent events, there is the inbound calls on how we might accelerate production capacity are coming in, and we're handling a number as we speak on this call. We're handling a number of urgent supply questions for that we will need to get back within a very short time frame, within the hour. So we've got a number of pressures. We're one of I think of the few companies that can start scaling production to a material level commencing 26 and be at full ideal production in 27. In the mining and processing, that is very, very fast.
It's just unheard of, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I mean,
yes.
to me, when I saw the pieces of this story, I thought to myself, either I'm dreaming, or this could be an absolute blockbuster. If everything goes as planned, this could be an absolute monster.
I think we because we're meeting a strategic need, and that's our focus. We're not distracted by total magnet demand. It's meeting what's good for America.
Right.
And that limits the size of the market, which means you can scale to a much smaller size. Of course, the performance requirements of those magnets is much higher. So, as I just stated, I've got some very important demand side customers that are calling while we're on this interview, and so I hope you won't take offense, nor your listeners, but I look forward to continuing these discussions in the near term. So,
No, look,
so it's not that you. I don't want to take anyone for granted. There are some pressures on at the moment.
No, I understand. And look, I appreciate you taking the time. Look, if you got to cut, you go ahead and cut. We'll pick up on
Okay.
this
All right.
in the near term, right?
Okay.
Sounds like
That's very generous. My emails is blowing up asking me specific technical questions, and they need to know now.
Yeah, listen,
All right.
David,
Thank
cut.
you.
I'm gonna hang
All right.
with Mr. Cowboy out here. We're gonna talk for a few more minutes.
Thank you then. Okay, bye.
Thank you, David.
Bye.
He looks like the cat that ate the canary, man.
Yeah. Well, we're light a few Tomahawk missiles and some other stuff that some other ordnance that we dropped. So the Defense Department, and again, I'm not the operating partner of this new entity, so I don't want to profess to know everything, but these magnets are used in all sorts of weaponry, very sophisticated weaponry, whether it be missiles, nuclear submarines, F-35s. This is a very specific market. And what I liked about the overall story when I first learned about the company, what led me to go ahead and make, the leap of faith and do this reverse takeover transaction acquisition, is that they focused on the end customer first through this acquisition of the Euclid facility. And went ahead and identified a specific niche market that they could provide products to, finished products, and then work backwards to the midstream in Saskatchewan. And then, they've got their own rare earth property that can supply them the tonnage going forward. But there's a lot of rare earth companies that don't have some of the components that
I
REalloys
love what they
does.
did. They reverse engineered this thing,
Right.
right? And started at at the most important part, I think, is supplying the
Right.
customer.
Not just the customer, but a very specific customer
Right.
that has a mandate to stockpile this type of product and get it from North America.
And you happen to have a an administration that I'm pretty sure it wants, look, you want to mine, they're going to try and strip all those the red tape bullshit regulations that they have going on, like the I don't know if you're aware of this, but there is an endangered species. It's called the burrowing beetle. So a cute little guy. It's about that big. I don't know why it matters, but it is on the. You have to do a study before you can, drill for oil, just to make sure you're not displacing the home of the burrowing beetle. Then again, the scientists actually don't know where the burrowing beetle comes from, so that's going to be challenging. But that is the kind of stuff that we've been doing in this country to slow. That's why it takes 17 to 20 years to get from conception to production. 17, 20 years. We we're a little
Right.
behind.
And again, the regardless of the somewhat contentious relationship between the US and Canada over the last 3 or 4 months, when it comes to national defense, it no longer becomes the USA versus Canada. It's North America, North American sourced rare earth. And when Canada provides, when the province of Saskatchewan provides this unique facility that's able to process rare earth, not just from our rare earth property, but from rare earth properties all over the world that we're shipping it to China to be processed. The MOU that we put in place with the Saskatchewan Resource Council, which is this tolling or processing facility, is a very important component that allows the rare to go through what I'm told is the first stages of the processing before it's shipped to Euclid to be produced, or the final production for these high performance magnet or magnet material.
Yeah, this is important stuff, right? I mean, and the bottom line is, as much as everybody, the I guess tension between the U.S. and the Canadians. I have no issue with the Canadians at all whatsoever. I love them; they're great people. But this tension that's going on right now, I mean, we got to toughen up a little bit. I mean, there were some things that were said. I thought we were pretty funny, but I guess you take it personal. But the reality is, we're neighbors, and we're going to stay neighbors for a long time. And if anybody messes with Canada, they're messing with us, right? I mean, that's the reality of it. We're going to protect them no matter what. So it would be foolish of us not to. So I think we're still friends. We're just you got some feelings hurt, but we'll get over that, right? And things like
Now
this.
feelings get hurt feelings go away pretty quickly when there's a national defense at stake or money to be made. So in this particular scenario, I can never predict what the, especially with our president. He's a very colorful character. I don't know what he's going to say next, but I'm going to guess that they're always going to err towards defense and the welfare of North America before any silly political divide between our northern neighbor and the USA First group. So what I would say is I felt like I like the story that led me to pursue this acquisition or actually start doing the due diligence. The more I got into it, the more I liked the story, the more I realized it was different than some of these other rare earth companies that may have, billions in value in the ground, but actually creating a revenue stream from where they are today may be a much longer road than what this company has. And so I think that with the IP, the know-how, and what we were able to acquire in this Euclid acquisition that we announced in a press release over a month ago, I think we're in a really good position to be a leader in this space for these specific high performance magnets that are sought after by the U.S. Defense Department stockpiles.
All right, so that this is, you know, you've been on this path for a while. This isn't the first company you were that you were going to do something with. I mean, you had another company that you wasted some time with, but this
Yeah, I
is
don't want to call it a waste. I learned a lot, and it paved the way to make this a much more streamlined acquisition. RTOs are difficult. There's you've got a definitive agreement. There's a lot of financing required. It's a whole new group of people trying to do business within the confines of SEC regulatory parameters. So I think that kind of was a good dress rehearsal for us. It didn't work out. Our company was able to get some cash benefit from the previous acquisition attempt, and it put us in a much better position to do this one. So I'm hoping that we get this closed in short order, and quite frankly, I'm much happier with this particular prospect than
everything
the
happens for a
last.
reason, right? I mean,
Yeah,
one door shuts, another one opens, and sometimes it's a much better situation. So
yeah, I think that's the case for us.
yeah, and so for the current shareholders, and for what would you say to the current shareholders and the potential the people that are watching this and thinking, well, maybe this would be something I should throw a few bucks at, right? What would you really like them to take away from this?
Well, there's a lot I'd like them to take away that I really can't talk about because I'm a CEO of a publicly traded company and I'm not a registered financial advisor. But what I can say is I don't think the market understands this story yet. Um, I think some of our announcements have been muted. For example, when we announced our definitive agreement with REalloys, I believe that was back in March. I know it was March, and I know exactly what day it was because it was the day that the tariffs were announced, or it was the biggest drop in the market that day. I don't think anybody was looking for a new opportunity in a microcap that's doing a RTO. I think they were trying to figure out how much money they lost and how to mitigate losses. So some of the announcements we've made, I just don't think there's any connection still with the market at large that understands that BlackBox stocks, although I'm a founder and I'm very proud of what we built, is not the focus here. BlackBox stocks, the surviving entity, will be a rare earth company that we valued at 400 million. I think is worth much more than that with the new components that have been put in place. And as the story continues and gets traction and the initiatives are met, I think that this is a really good opportunity for our shareholders to benefit in a big way. And anybody in the market that's looking for a rare earth investment, I'd urge them to look at our press releases, our deck that we used in our non-deal roadshow, and any other and any other components of the story that we put out to the public, including our S4 filing, which gives a lot of detail on the comprehensive nature of this transaction.
Yeah, I think that says it right there, right? I mean, this is there is a disconnect here. I don't think people understand really what's happening, but this is, like you said at the very beginning of this, the arbitrage possibility here is quite significant, right? So that's why we're here, is to
Right.
hopefully try and wake some people up to take a look at this a little bit deeper, right?
Absolutely. And David, although and and that was that was not theater. He absolutely has some pressing issues that potential deals because of the current geopolitical situation going on over there in the Middle
I mean,
East.
I don't mean to laugh and make light of the situation. I'm not, before anybody flips out and freaks out, I'm not laughing about the situation from the weekend. That's, lives were lost and stuff like that. And I hate to see that, but at the same time, I also like to see world order come back into play. So, I mean, it is what it is. I can't control it. I didn't, you know, have any part of
Well,
it.
I think that one key takeaway that everybody that's an investor in BlackBox already or a potential investor can take away is we learned a lot from the supply chain disruption during COVID.
Yes,
And China had, very, very important components for our pharmaceutical industry. Um, we don't want to be reliant on foreign countries and more importantly, foreign adversaries for our national defense. So the mandate is very clear from the US government. They want American produced products and components for the national defense. And this is a fully integrated supply chain opportunity.
this is the right opportunity. I don't think you could actually script a better time.
Yeah, I told some people that it's interesting. Before I founded BlackBox, part of my expertise in the capital markets or in trading is because I was a consultant. I did a lot of reverse takeover transactions or going public transactions. Um, and it's ironic. We um, we announced a story that I thought would be a huge story for the market, and nobody's really taken notice. Other rare earth companies because they have the name rare earth or something that would signify rare earth. Um, those particular companies are doing quite well. Some of them I don't feel are positioned as good as this company. Many of them are not, even though they're larger. But I'm not worried about the story getting traction right now as much as I am whether the actual business model will work long term. And I think that that is there's a very good possibility this is going to be a standout company in this space.
Absolutely. Just because of the way they're going about it. I mean, it's just
Yeah,
I'm
they kind of reverse engineered it. They found
yeah,
a very a customer that isn't as concerned about price as they are about availability of a product,
yep,
and then worked backwards to make sure that that customer will always be able to be provided for in this integrated supply chain.
yeah. I tell you what, man. I think you, Gust. I think you did a I think you did a hell of a job finding the right company to do this with. This is, I mean, when people really start to get a hold of this, wrap their arms around it, I think this thing. Do you think maybe there's maybe there's concern that the deal doesn't get done? Do you think that's maybe a
There are always regulatory hurdles. This isn't, you know, a AT&T or JR Nabisco merger that we have to worry about FTC approval. It's nothing like that. There's just disclosure issues that always have to be fine tuned with the SEC whenever you're doing an S4 registration for an acquisition of another company. Everything has to be laid out. Um, the second round of comments we got from the SEC, I don't find anything highly problematic there. So
how is that?
there's always execution risk on deals like this. I mean, to say otherwise would be negligent on my part as the CEO of a public company. But in the grand scheme of things, looking at this transaction versus other transactions I've been involved with, I'm kind of have a unique perspective because as a CEO of a pubco, I used to do these as part of my business before I founded BlackBox. So I have a pretty good barometer for how these things work, and I don't really see a problem getting the deal closed at this point. But anything could happen, and
How,
that's the caveat I have to
on
put out
average,
there.
how many rounds of questions back and forth typically in a deal like this?
Well, our first round of comments came back, and I don't want to say how many, but let's just say that uh, we addressed more than 50% of them in the first round, and then the other half that came back, again, we expect to turn that set of comments around and file our amended S4 within the next 5 to 7 days, if not sooner.
Okay, okay.
And then from that point, the clock is, another 10 days. The SEC, that's their guidelines. They're supposed to respond in 10 days. They don't always
That's what I was
respond.
going for. So they're kind of like the FDA. You send over whatever, they come back with comments, and then you have X amount of days to respond, and then they have X amount of days to respond. So there is pressure to get this done. They can't just sit on it for 3 months.
Yeah, they have guidelines that say once they've received the initial filing, the second and third and any other subsequent rounds are supposed to turn them around in a 10-day period, but
Okay,
they don't always. Sometimes they're 12 days or 15 days, but it's usually more around the 10-day period.
okay, all right. I'm excited for you, man. I think this is a story that people should be paying attention to. Uh, BLBX is the ticker symbol. What I would highly recommend is even if you're unsure, you might consider just buying one share. I mean, one share, I could tell people to do that, right? I mean, one share is not going to hurt
Your
anybody.
show.
That's not going to hurt anybody. You buy one share. And the reason I say that is because then you can pay close attention to what is actually happening with the company. You can also go over to their website and sign up for their email alerts, right? That way you
Right.
get it's sent right to your email. It makes it real simple. But, from 30,000 feet up, I'm saying there's a lot of shit going on in the world that we're going to need these magnets, and these are pretty critical. Um, this is a company that doesn't just have a mine that they can produce the materials from, but they actually went through the whole chain, and they kind of started backwards. And I love this. I think this is a really, really smart idea. So this one is worth taking a look at. Maybe reading an S4, probably not going to be the most exciting thing you ever read in your life, but you're going to learn something. And this could actually be this could be a game changer for some people. I mean, this is where we. I should have brought up the chart. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put the chart in the video separately. But I can tell you that I don't think people have taken into account what this has the potential to become, which could be significant. So I want to.
Yeah, I mean, right now, our stock trades with a huge spread. There's some days that have a lot of liquidity, other days there's very little volume. I think some of the people that are in the know have kind of accumulated shares. There's a large portion of the investing retail public anyway that has no idea that we're in the rare earth or rare earth magnet mine to magnet production space. And I shouldn't say we are in it. We are entering into that agreement once this merger is done. So again, there's a little disconnect in the market, and I think that is probably the reason for potential arbitrage from between now and when the deal closes. And the execution risk is far less. I'll close with one interesting piece of information. I believe it was in January when we announced that we were entering into a debenture. this debenture has a floor above $5. So the financier knew that, the potential deal we were doing was going to be was going to come in at a good valuation. When we announced the debenture without announcing what company, because we didn't have the definitive done yet, we just announced that we were doing a debenture for a future acquisition or merger transaction. Our stock traded 237 million shares if you include the pre-market and post-market, and it appreciated greatly on news of a debenture. Then I announced what the company is and that it's a rare earth company on the day the market imploded. And I don't think anybody, excuse me, I don't think anybody knows that we're in the rare earth space still. I think that kind of just got washed out in a mix of all kinds of news and market gymnastics that have gone on since Trump put those tariff policies in place and took them back and put them back in. So
Which actually, if they would have known, would have probably even acted more of a catalyst for the stock, right? All the tariff stuff, it shouldn't have actually been a that would have been a positive thing for you, right?
yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell. I've often told people, the comment about our stocks trading. I said I've been in this business for over 30 years. I've never seen a stock that trades in such a bizarre fashion as BLBX. Don't ask me why, but it does go parabolic on certain days. And in this particular scenario, I think long term, this is a really solid move for our shareholders, and I'm happy to be a part of it. I'm not an expert in the rare earth industry. I don't profess to be one, but I know how to identify value when I see it, and I think this is a really great transaction that'll bring a lot of value for our shareholders.
Gust, you're going to have BlackBox stocks as a subsidiary, but if this eventually gets bought out by somebody, are you staying on with these guys, or what's your plan?
I'm going to stay on to run BlackBox as a subsidiary and potentially look for a buyer for it at some point, or another merger partner for BlackBox. We have some extremely valuable IP that I don't think has seen the light of day, but that's not what the story's about. As far as the continued role with the rare earth company, I will not be there long term. I'll be, on the board for a while. I believe I'll have a board seat. Or no, actually, I will not. I will not have a board seat, but my CFO will have a board seat. He is going to continue on with the company. His name is Bob Winspeary. He's an extremely experienced CFO. He was the CFO of NASDAQ small cap that had about a $500 million valuation that was sold. He and his family that owned the company exited in the early 2000s, I believe. So the company's in really good hands with the CFO. But I'll be on the board of the subsidiary, but I'll transition out of the uh, parent company at some point. But I can assure you, um, doing these type of transactions, or finding them and qualifying them is something that's in my skill set. As far as providing long-term value for a rare earth company, I don't think that's in my wheelhouse. I don't want to, even put a drain or strain on the company with a salary for that. And my CFO is not only good at running, the financial side of a company, but this particular gentleman has a great skill set for acquisitions, for future acquisitions. If REalloys wants to acquire more entities or do joint ventures, he's got a great skill set for that kind of stuff. So I think the company has a great management team. The chairman put this whole deal together. He's a visionary, David Argyle, who we just talked to briefly. Has an extensive knowledge of the mining industry, and more importantly, the affiliated or the production that goes in conjunction with mining once you get the products out of the ground. And so I think this company, and there's a multitude of other very skilled people in the subsidiaries that have been purchased or are to be acquired, that I think will add a lot of value. So there's a great team in place. Although I won't be part of it long term, my goal is to get this deal across the finish line as soon as possible and bring the maximum amount of value to my shareholders.
Well, I love it, man. I think you guys are gonna do. I think you guys are gonna do something special here. All right. So David may have some news. We may come back and do a follow up on Wednesday or
Right.
Thursday, whatever. Right. But this is a name you're gonna be seeing around here for a while, at least until we get some results. And I think those could be coming sooner than later. So, and I got a feeling we're not going to see, this isn't going to be the last we're going to see of you, even if you do exit. I think being involved in the financial markets is kind of in your blood, huh?
Yeah, I'm I'm kind of attached to the capital markets and the stock market. So yeah, you'll see me around again.
Okay. All right, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Hold on one second. I'm gonna shut this. Hey, so you got something else you want to say?
No, I just want to thank you for taking an interest in what we're doing, and appreciate you giving us time to tell our story.
Thank you for tuning in to another CEO interview here at Alpha Wolf Capital. Today we had CEO Gust Kepler and CEO David Argyle from BlackBox Stocks and REalloys. I hope you enjoyed today's interview, and if you did, do us a favor, give us a like. How about giving us a share? And while you're at it, make sure you smash that subscribe button. All of those things are extremely important to us here at Alpha Wolf Capital, and we appreciate you taking the time to do that. Until next time, stay safe. Alpha Wolf Capital wishes you the very best of success.